In the coming times, humanity will witness both war and the destruction of the five elements, and nature itself will become helpless. Now that sounds exactly like a modern climate report or a warning from a geopolitical analyst, right? Well, actually, according to Bhavishya Malika, these are the precise conditions of our present day, recorded over 600 years ago. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're opening up what we're calling the Proofs File. This is a dossier of 49 distinctly dated, highly specific events that is 6th-century-old text claims it foretold, and we're going to cross-examine these claims right alongside the modern public record. We're stepping into the role of investigative analysts today. We're looking at the Bhavishya Malika not as a matter of blind belief or folklore, but as a hard, analytical dive into an ancient file of proofs. So let's jump right in. The central question driving our entire investigation today is simply this: how on earth does a 600-year-old manuscript accurately pinpoint the dates of modern catastrophes? We aren't here to demand your belief. We are just here to look at the data. We have a historical text making explicit claims about historical events, and our job today is to line up that text with the timeline. To make sense of these claims, we first need to map out the cosmic timeline, exactly as Bhavishya Malika lays it out. The narrative starts way back, around 3000 BCE, with the beginning of what's known as Kali Yuga. In this framework, Kali Yuga is the current Dark Age, a period defined by the gradual loss of Dharma, which means the path of righteousness, truth, and cosmic order. The text asserts that this Dark Age spans all the way up to our current era, culminating in a massive astrological shift in 2025 when Saturn enters Pisces. Bhavishya Malika states that these claims originated with the Panchasaka in the 15th century. These were highly revered saints in the sacred land of Odisha, India, who translated profound, divine visions of the future directly into the regional Odia language. And because it was written in Odia rather than widespread Sanskrit, this entire dossier of prophecies essentially remained insulated from the rest of the world until very recently. Now, a totally crucial concept for our investigation is Yuga Sandhya. Bhavishya Malika states that we aren't just blindly existing in the Dark Age anymore, we are, right now, navigating Yuga Sandhya. This is defined as a turbulent transitional window. It's the bridge connecting the violent end of Kali Yuga to the dawn of Satya Yuga, which is the ultimate golden era. The text claims all the extreme global chaos we are seeing today is literally just the friction of this transition. Okay, so here's where we test these claims against verifiable history. Bhavishya Malika doesn't just deal in vague poetry. It logged highly specific events. For instance, it described the foreign conquest of Bharat by people from the West, perfectly matching the British colonization of India. It accurately foretold the early 1990s India economic crisis. It even explicitly dated the sudden demonetization that shocked India on November 8, 2016. And absolutely crucially for us today, it explicitly warned of a severe global pestilence that would bring human movement to an unprecedented halt. That is a pinpoint description of the COVID-19 pandemic and global lockdowns, written centuries before the concept of a global lockdown was even a thing. Before we look at some of the most startling anomalies in the public record, we need to quickly define some sacred terminology related to the city of Puri because a lot of these prophecies are centered right there. Jagannath refers to the Lord of the universe. Balabhadra is Lord Jagannath's elder brother. The Rath Yatra is their grand, globally recognized chariot festival. And finally, Nilachal is the sacred abode of the Puri temple, while the Nila Chakra is the massive blue disc mounted at its very peak. Keep these in mind. Let's pull out the next piece of evidence. Bhavishya Malika warned of specific temple anomalies. It perfectly described the 1990 Amla Beta stonefall. Furthermore, it prophesied that a fire would break out in the gem-studded chandua, or canopy, placed directly over the deities inside the Jagannath temple. If we check the verified public record, in 2004 to 2005, this exact, highly unusual anomaly occurred. A fire broke out precisely in that canopy. The precision here is honestly uncanny. But here's the thing. The anomalies are accelerating. According to Bhavishya Malika, a major sign of impending catastrophic shifts would be an unprecedented disaster involving the divine idols themselves during sacred rituals. Cross-reference that with July 7th, 2024. During the massive Rath Yatra festival, the idol of Lord Balabhadra literally fell face down on the chariot ramp. And it doesn't stop there. The text predicts a whole cluster of specific anomalies for 2025. The Akshaya Danda stap snapping, blood-like stains appearing, a vulture sitting with a temple flag, and an eagle resting on the Aruna stump. The Malika highlights these as incredibly grave precursors. Let's pause for a second and shift our focus to how the community itself is recording these events. Now, as investigators, we have to establish an honest confirmation bias caveat here. There is a very clear difference between globally verifiable events, like the pandemic or that heavily documented 2024 idol fall, and the internal anecdotal signs observed by local devotee communities. Bhavishya Malika requires its followers to watch for localized natural phenomena as warnings, but we have to view these through the lens of community record rather than global hard news. So, what are those localized signs? Exactly as Bhavishya Malika described them, the community has recorded quite a few. In October 2022, heavy stones unexpectedly fell near the Nada Mandap inside the temple premises. The text also states that nature itself will signal the end of Kali Yuga. Jackals will be heard howling right in the middle of the daytime. The crowns of roosters will inexplicably change from red to white, and lotus flowers will start blooming entirely out of season. Take this one, for example. Within the community record, devotees noted the sudden appearance of altar-painted red footprints in the temple of Ma Samalesbury. According to Bhavishya Malika, as the Dark Age ends, divine goddesses will literally leave their sanctuaries, stepping out to engage in the annihilation of wickedness. For the local community, finding these physical footprints was a chilling confirmation that the scriptural timeline is fully active. Which brings us to the absolute most critical number in this entire dossier, 2025. According to Bhavishya Malika, 2025 is the turning point. This is the period of Meena Shani, specifically marking March 29, 2025, when Saturn enters the astrological sign of Pisces. The text explicitly describes this planetary alignment as the trigger for the final intense dance of destruction. The relatively isolated anomalies we've been tracking, the text claims they will violently escalate into global catastrophes starting on this exact astrological date. So what exactly does the dossier say is coming? The timeline tracks highly specific events for early 2025, catastrophic LA wildfires in January, a massive Santorini earthquake swarm in February, an attack in Pahalgam on April 22nd, and a military maneuver coded Operation Sindoor on May 7th. From there, it predicts the complete, unprecedented cessation of all digital and electronic devices. It describes geophysical shifts causing mega-earthquakes measuring an impossible 16 to 17 on the Richter scale. Furthermore, it explicitly outlines a third world war involving 14 nations that devolves into a nuclear conflict, resulting in the tragic loss of around 100 crore, or 1 billion lives. Facing a timeline like that is, well, it's incredibly heavy. But Bhavishya Malika isn't just a book of doom. It is fundamentally a survival protocol. To understand its defense strategy, we need two final definitions. First is Madhava, the supreme divine force, identified in this era as Lord Kalki, the protector. Second is Trisandhya, which is the prescribed 3 times daily spiritual practice and prayer. The authors of the Malika offered a clear, completely free of cost defense protocol for surviving the Yuga Sandhya. The instructions are simple. Practice Trisandhya every single day. Read the sacred scripture, the Srimad Bhagavat. Cultivate a constant internal remembrance of Madhava, and above all, adhere strictly to the path of Dharma, living righteously, honestly, and without harming others. According to Bhavishya Malika, this free spiritual armor is the absolute only protection against the coming physical destruction. We've opened the file. We've seen how a 600-year-old manuscript successfully dated economic shocks, global pandemics, and highly specific temple anomalies. We've seen its timeline for the years immediately ahead of us. We aren't here to demand that you believe it, but the data on the table is undeniable. So the final question I leave you with is this. With the public record corroborating these centuries-old claims, how will you prepare your mind, your actions, and your spirit for the transition ahead? Thank you for exploring this with me today. Stay curious, stay observant, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.